Welcome to episode 64 of the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Stephen Rothberg of College Recruiter, where we believe that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. I am joined by my illustrious co-host, Peter Zollman of the AIM Group.
I'm glad you didn't say what you were really thinking. Thank you,
This
Stephen.
is a G-related podcast, and so all of that we'll just have to save for the show notes.
Well, we know the other podcast that's F-bomb related, but we're not it. Hey, I mean, Chad and Cheese are wonderful. They're wonderful. It's just not a G-rated podcast.
They are dangerous.
I'm Peter Zollman, founding principal of the AIM Group. We consult with recruitment marketplaces and job boards around the world. And coming up in just a few weeks, we have our Rec Buzz conference in Barcelona, and attendance is going to be rocking. But that's the end of that pitch. Before we get to our guest, Cory Kapner of Recruitics, we just want to let you know we're doing a special podcast tomorrow. There is a huge controversy brewing with Glassdoor, which has been changed its privacy policy to link a lot of names to the reviews. Sometimes publicly, it says they're always anonymous, but maybe they are, maybe they aren't. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Putting it aside for today, we'll talk to Cory Kapner. Cory Kapner is with Recruitics, sitting in Amsterdam with a halo over his head from the decor, vice president of global sales and partnerships for Recruitics. Whatever. That halo is making me crazy. Anyway, welcome. How are you, Mr. Kapner?
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So you say recruiting and job search is broken. Before you get into that, for the people who don't know Recruitics, give us the 20-second elevator pitch, and then Stephen will ask you, why is job search broken and what should you do to change it?
Yeah, well, Recruitics is a recruitment marketing technology company and analytics platform, and we operate as the agency of record for a laundry list of clients. We focus on big direct employers. We have a lot of the largest staffing agencies as clients, and we work with a lot of marketplaces, a lot of supply and demand based organizations looking to hire high volume for high turnover types of roles. So we have about 11 offices, just over 300 people. I sit in Amsterdam. We are a global organization, and so we sit in the dead center of the ecosystem, and we partner with all the job aggregators, job boards, job sites, hiring platforms, all the ATSs, all the CRMs, video interviewing. It's our job to be experts within the entire industry, and then proactively recommend the services, products, and solutions for our clients to meet their challenges.
Awesome. So when we were booking this episode, Cory, we always ask our guests, like, what do you want to talk about? Sometimes we talk about that stuff, and sometimes we forget, or choose not to. But in your case, it intrigued me. You wanted to talk about like why job search is broken. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, and so my day-to-day job is with Recruitics. However, I volunteer for the New York Public Library every Monday and Tuesday as a career coach. Been doing it for about 8 years now. And I've spoken to everybody under the sun, meaning the person in New York City that can speak 5 different languages, selling big red bus tickets, all the way to the VP of engineering in the Uber office that's never taken a gap year. And throughout that spectrum, job seekers don't know what they don't know. And they're confused when they go search for positions. Maybe they start on Google, and then if they go to a tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4 job site that has a lot of backfill, they get shifted from website to website, registering their emails and never really applying to the job, even though it looks like they applied to the job. When they're applying to roles, when they see job advertisements across major websites, they know that their resume will be reviewed by a machine, and they are concerned that they're falling through the cracks. So they're modifying their CVs and resume to make sure that they match the job description perfectly, even though it's really not what they were doing, because they're all using the same language, but we all have different definitions. And so throughout the interview process, candidates have this lack of feedback, right? And then they're ghosted. And so you can go through 6 rounds, a panel interview with an organization, and then they won't hear back for 2-3 months, sometimes never. And so it's just a sad experience, because most HR tech businesses build products, offer solutions for businesses, not many for job seekers. And so I help educate job seekers of what they should be looking for.
Okay. Everybody can agree that it's broken. I have a relative who's looking for a job, had 24 years at one company. He's in his 50s, goes into places all day long, every day, and they say apply online, and then he can't because their system doesn't work. Or he fills out an application and they have big signs saying help wanted, need help, whatever, never hears another word. I've got another relative who's been looking for a job for about a little more than a year now, gets into the 3rd round, the 4th round, 5 interviews, 6 interviews. One company that he finished interviewing with in July called him 2 weeks ago and said, oh, by the way, we're so sorry we never got back to you. Like, at that point, why bother calling? Obviously, talking about how job search is broken doesn't help. You might have an idea or two. How do we fix it? Give us a couple, and then Stephen will ask you for some more.
So there's a handful of ways to fix it, and I'll start at the end and then back out. So the first, putting the accountability on the recruiters and the organization to get back to these people. There are organizations that run candidate experience data points where, let's say, someone went to an airline and they interviewed with the airline, went through, person didn't get the job, was ghosted. They can actually tie that candidate experience to a lost plane ticket. And so they actually come out and say, we lost $1.6 million worth of revenue because of our poor candidate experience. Same thing with if you go interview at Starbucks and you're loyal to Starbucks, you go through the interview process, and then at the very end, drop off, get ghosted. Does that person go to Dunkin' Donuts because of that emotional tie, because of the negative sentiment that they tie to the Starbucks name? And for them, you care about those things. So I use those 2 examples because they're rare and they're the anomalies. It should be the norm, like tracking what value the candidate has from the acquisition all the way through to the lifetime, especially when you're paying for a talent community or a job network or a CRM type function to nurture and engage the people that have already applied. So holding the recruiters accountable, making sure that there's good communication. And then from the job seeker point of view, I think that the leverage between the company interviewing the candidate, it looks uneven because the candidate wants the job and the company is quite arrogant to say, well, you want to come work for us. What I hope job seekers see and realize and become more confident is it should be interviewing one another. And I believe that if there's an even respect between the job seeker and the organization, then the level of communication would increase. And so therefore they're applying and they're having a good experience doing all the research that they're meant to do before going into the interview. How this happens, that's where we have to come together as an industry and help educate the job seekers of what they should be doing and why. And so looking on job sites like Indeed, LinkedIn, College Recruiter is a great example on how to find the role, but then the real research starts. And I would treat it like a sales funnel. And I know that sounds odd for people in middle office and back office, but documenting all the jobs that you applied to, looking at decision makers, looking at the research you've done with the organization, writing down on paper just for you of why you want to go work there and how it ties to your core values and the morals and where you want to go in this world. And all of that research, good things happen to good people that work hard. And so there's a lot of work hard luck tied to job seeking. And as long as they're organizing their job search and they're following up like a salesperson would, their chances of fixing this broken process on one side is that much closer.
Yeah. I think we have time for one more question, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Cory. One of the things that I've long believed is that one of the real problems in our industry, and I'm talking talent acquisition, not job boards, recruitment marketplaces, that subset, but the whole industry, is that at its core, a CV or resume is a backward-looking document. It kind of documents what you've done, what you've maybe achieved. The job posting tends to be much more of a forward-looking document. This is what we want you to do. And those are two different things. So I wonder if there's a way of job seekers and employers each modifying how they put those documents together that would then allow the technology to make a better match and to surface the candidates to the recruiters who are actually a better fit for what that employer is going to need moving forward and what the candidate is going to want moving forward. Before we close, thoughts on that?
Well, there's two controversial subjects I'll bring up to address those points, Stephen. One, I think 3, 5, 7, 10 years, job advertisements won't exist. Text-based, the advertising of those job advertisements won't exist. Yes, there will be jobs inside the ATS for compliance reasons to make sure that they're managing the collaboration and the candidate pipeline. And yes, there will be text describing the position. However, we're in a new age of technology that a lot of smart people are working on these types of problems. And with all the ATS integrations, there really doesn't need to be job advertisements. Once the second point, good segue, is verification of candidates. And so a lot of our societal issues that we have is based off of lack of verification. Your Twitter or X should be connected to your Facebook should be connected to your LinkedIn should be connected to your email address. We wouldn't be where we are globally with trolling and suicide rates and depression if we were all verified online. And where I believe we're going as an industry is the verification of candidates, because if you see what's happening from the job seeker technology point of view, you have AI bots interviewing AI bots, and there are a lot of tricks being played on organizations, and soon they'll catch up. And there's not an easy way to verify those candidates because of those two radically different approaches of why job search is broken. If you handle the job seeker experience to say, okay, I'm going to register, I'm going to get a solid background check, I'm going to get my CV approved, and I'm a real person. Well, that means you can take that profile anywhere that you go. And I think that we're heading down that road. And from the other side, making sure that it's being organized in the system correctly and that the people that are truly qualified can get the first dibs on the interview and make sure that there's no lag between posting the job, sending it out, tracking the results, optimizing the campaigns, moving on from there. So, I focus on programmatic advertising. I'm convinced that we're moving towards programmatic recruitment.
Cool.
And we are out of time, unfortunately. So we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen. And we'll see you tomorrow with another episode of Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast.
Breaking news on Glassdoor coming in 24. Cheers, Cory.
Thank you.